Welcome, one and all. Today is February 16th, 2017, and this is Role Play Call number 16. And just a little bit of ground rules, guys. First of all, nothing is off limits on any of our calls. This one is a little bit different than the Thursday call. The Thursday is open forum. We would like to try to keep this one in the form of a role play, kind of like Jeopardy. You know, you got to do it in the form of a question. So if you have a question, make it into a role play, and you can practice with our amazing coach, Chad. And, all of these calls are a little bit different. We run into a lot of common themes, and even if it's something we've gone over before, we'll be glad to go over it again. But we want to know where you guys are getting stuck, maybe places that you think you could, in your conversations, where you could do a better job, even if it's, you just have a little bit of call reluctance and you want to know how to overcome that. Just places that you are getting stuck or you could use some help with in your conversations with these executors, personal representatives. And
also, guys, for everybody who's been on the phones, we also want to hear what's working. So, obviously what we teach and what we role play has worked for us in our business. That's always evolving. So if you're on this call and you've found some language that's really been working well for you, it's as valuable or even more valuable than us role-playing the negative stuff. So please speak up if you've got something that's working well for you.
Yeah, no, great point. We've learned a tremendous amount. That's why people always ask me, should I start at the beginning and listen to these calls? I always say start with the most recent one and go backwards, because we're learning as we go, and the content is getting better all the time. So the more recent the call and the role play and the mastermind call, the better the information is likely to be. All right, great. Well, we have two people in the queue. That's a start. And again, you're all muted out. If you would like to actively participate, just hit *6 and hit 1, and let's go to our first person. Phone number ending in 7350. You're up.
Hi, this is Steve in Boca.
Hey, Steve. Thank you. I asked you to sign in, and you did. I appreciate your cooperating.
Well, all I need to do is to be called out, and I immediately participate.
Good. Thank you. What can we do for you, sir?
Well, the initial conversation that I'm having with people based upon the couple of weeks now that I've been dialing, and the feedback that I'm getting from my team members, and between myself and another manager, we've got 14 total on our team. Basically, the response is, we've already gotten that taken care of. No need to go any further. So if we want to role play, I'll be happy to do that, and I'll play the agent.
You mean you'll play the?
You'll
play the seller.
I'll play the PR.
Yeah, exactly. All right, perfect. Great call. We've heard that before. So take it away, Chad.
So ring.
Yes, hi. Who's this?
My name's Chad. I'm trying to reach Steve. Is this Steve?
This is.
Hey, Steve. I was calling to follow up on a letter I sent you last week. We're real estate professionals here in Boca, and I noticed on the public record we kind of proactively pull probate records because we've helped so many families in the area. But I noticed you were the executor of an estate, and I just wanted to touch base and kind of introduce you to some of the things we can offer. We've got a team that, from getting homes sold quickly all the way to completely renovating them, we can help with that, everything in between. Is there real estate in the estate that you guys need some help with or have questions about?
Well, my parents both passed away about 2 years ago, and everything was pretty much in a living trust, and right now there really is nothing that needs to be done.
Okay, fair enough. And have you guys gotten everything settled out with the estate? I mean, the reason I ask, obviously we're real estate professionals, but in the course of dealing with transitional real estate, we obviously encounter families with a lot more stress than just the house. So we have financial planners, estate planners. We help a lot of families reinvest inheritance and even plan for future generations so they never have to go through that again. And it sounds like you guys had it pretty close, but some of the estate was still probated, even though most of it was in a trust. So have you guys thought about moving forward, like the next generation? Is there anyone that I can introduce you to that might be able to help you out?
Well, in actuality, I've never heard of anything like that before. It sounds like a very unique concept.
Yeah, well, we try to focus not so much on just one particular thing. We have a wide scope of service, and we like to know that we can help anyone we speak to, whether we're paid or not. And all the things that I just mentioned, we don't get paid on, but we do have people that are already part of our network, and we're happy to connect you with folks that we've vetted and we trust.
I see. Well, it just so happens that my brother is an attorney up on PGA Boulevard.
Okay.
And one of my best friends is a real estate agent, and we're not really sure whether we're going to be selling the property yet, but most likely I would give the listing if we decide to sell to my friend here up in Jupiter.
Yeah, I understand completely. I mean, here in Boca, if you don't know 12 realtors, you must have just moved here yesterday, right? So I will say this, the one thing that I encourage you to at least sit down and you and I can talk for 15 minutes because, as I've said, we have a really wide scope of service. Sticking a sign in the yard and doing a great job marketing, as most realtors do, is just one small fragment of what we do. So whether the home is, if you need to get the personal property sold and donate the rest, get the house cleaned out, get it in repair, get repairs taken care of. There's a lot of different things that we can do that most agents, frankly, just aren't equipped to do or aren't willing to do. So, I mean, if you would want to sit down, maybe how does next Friday look to just sit down and have a cup of coffee and kind of walk through what it may look like?
Yeah, and your name was Chad, is that right? Chad?
Yeah. Yep.
It sounds like what you have to offer is very unique, but we don't have anything in the home that needs to be disposed of. In fact, the home is just, pristine. My mom and dad took care of it for the last 17 years that they were in the home, and if anybody were to move in, they'd be able to move in with just their toothbrush, and they would never know that they weren't living in a 17-year-old home.
Oh, that's perfect. We see all different types, but the most families haven't done as much as you guys have as far as getting everything cleaned out and dealt with. And kudos to you for doing that. I know it's really stressful. That's why it's such a big part of our service, because a lot of people just kind of freeze up and get in what we call quicksand. Excuse me. So it's the probate transaction is that most of them go really smoothly. Sometimes they don't. I don't know if are you the only executor, or are there co-executors? Are you guys all making decisions?
No, as I said, my brother is a co-executor, and he happens to be an attorney up in Palm Beach Gardens. So,
okay.
My parents were very smart and had great advice. So almost 90% of the total estate was in a living trust. Mm-hmm. So the 10% just actually sailed through probate, and we're just expecting to close that probably in the next week or two. So, the estate will, in effect, be closed.
If you don't mind me asking, why would the home not have been part of the trust as part of that 90%?
The home.
Do the kids have ownership already, or?
Yeah, my mom and dad, what they did, recognizing they were both in their late 80s, and they recognized that that may become an issue. So what they did was a quit claim deed, and I think we gave them $10, and myself and home using the quitclaim deed.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, it sounds like, I mean, you guys are definitely in a position to sell. I mean, there's a couple ways we could help. Obviously, you know, we have a great system for getting homes sold, and we pride ourselves on getting, you know, the most we possibly can for our clients in the shortest amount of time. And then after the sale, I don't know if you guys have plans for reinvesting, you know, the proceeds from that, but we can definitely help with that. Are you dead set on using your friend, or would you want to sit down for a few minutes to kind of talk to us? And I mean, worst case scenario, you're going to get a professional opinion of you know, value and strategy. I'll tell you how we would price the home and how we would market the home. If that's not in alignment with what you're thinking, then you've just gotten a free professional opinion, and I'll even pay for the coffee.
Well, no, I appreciate that. And what I would say is, with the size of the estate, you know, we've had financial planners and, you know, brokers and agents of all kinds advising us throughout the way. But, you know, as I said earlier, just the fact that I think that what you're offering is quite unique. My brother up in Palm Beach Gardens is one of his things is as a probate attorney. Why don't you give me your contact information, and I'll pass it along to him. Perhaps there could be a referral down the road if one of your clients does not have a probate attorney.
Yeah, for sure. I'd love to do that. It's chad@email.com and 555-867-6309.
Well, you know, that sounds great, and I really do appreciate your call. And you never know, we may cross paths again in the future.
Awesome job. I think you were highly more educated and intelligent than the average executor, but that's a good thing. No, that's a good thing.
I wish I could replay his role plays from Probate Mastery. Like, he's tough, man.
Yeah,
you know,
that was good.
The only thing I would say, Chad, the question that I had, I do not, when I get on the phone, mention to these people that I'm a real estate professional, at least not initially. You know, basically what I say is, I'm calling because I noticed that you're the personal representative of an estate, and I lead a team of professionals who basically help families get through the probate process. And how we get your information is by pulling the records from the Palm Beach County courthouse, and then we reach out to the family members to see how we can help them. And there are many different ways that we can help, from selling a property as is for cash, helping to sell and donate personal property, working with estate sellers, and even working with contractors to help renovate a property to sell it for top dollar. And by the way, I am a real estate professional here in Palm Beach County.
That's perfect, man. You got that dialed in. I love it.
Okay,
now,
so that's, you know, and my team has asked me whether they should, you know, mention the fact that they are a real estate professional at the outset, and I just kind of figured that it would be best to bury that for a little bit deeper into the intro.
No, I love that. I mean, I like that you do it. You do disclose that, but it's toward the end of kind of your USP, so I love it.
Okay. All right. Very good. Glad to help out.
One thing you said there that I don't think you guys specifically covered that we have heard before is people tend to have just a gut reaction to saying, less knowledgeable people than yourself, you know, tend to have a gut reaction to say, no, we got it handled. And all they're really saying is, I really don't want to be sold anything.
Yeah, you know, I would say, since we got our last batch of leads on Friday and started calling on Saturday, I've reached out to 30 personal representatives, and I've actually, you know, made notes on my Excel spreadsheet. One thing I will say is this to you guys. The contact rate is pretty exceptional based upon my experience of, you know, calling expireds, calling FSBOs, calling just sold, etc. So, you know, kudos to you guys. The phone numbers, except for a very small minority of them, are pretty much right on. And in fact, I had a situation where it was actually two deaths, same family, two deaths within a very short period of time of each other. And so there were two separate filing numbers. And I reached out to this woman who said, well, you're talking about Charles, who's my ex-husband, and here's a phone number for you to call, and perhaps, you can reach them that way. And it turns out that there was very bad blood between the brother and the sister and the ex-wife. That's not my point. My point is that there's great information in here, and I don't know, as far as we're concerned, if we had more timely information, and I know you guys are working on that, I think that this will be great. And I don't know if Eileen is on the phone. She's my co-manager. She's already taken a listing from the first 400 or so leads that you guys have sent us.
Oh, that's great. Let us know when that happens. That's awesome.
I sent you guys an email before the call started, giving you an update on where we're at, so you'll have some good feedback in that regard.
Excellent. For those of you that are hearing Steve's massive team, he's in a county that gets 300 plus leads per month, so they're really doing it right. They've got a whole team of people working those leads, and Steve, you're doing as good a job as anybody I've heard. So thank you for the feedback, and thank you for participating. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. I appreciate your time.
Hey, we have one other person in the queue. Again, hit *6 and hit 1. Chad, real quick, because I wanted to touch more specifically on this. Let's just you and I do it real quick. But you're calling me, and I just give you a generic statement of, no, thanks, we got it handled. How do you respond?
Okay. All right. Well, listen, Jim, I wanted to touch base. There's a lot of things that we can do. I mean, some families just tell us they have it handled because they think we might be like the pile of mail that's on the coffee table. I will tell you this, though. We focus first on understanding the family's needs and goals, and then we make suggestions, and we never charge anything, and we never get paid unless we do what we promise. So is it really that you have it handled and you have a plan for this and you don't need any help, or do you just not feel comfortable with me because you don't know me yet?
Wow, that's, you know what, you kind of caught me there, to tell you the truth, because, I was afraid you were trying to sell me something. So
I understand. Yeah, listen, we talk to dozens and dozens of families each week, and it's a common reaction. So I totally get it. And, we've got to earn your trust, and we've got to do that by showing you that we're not here to take advantage of anybody. We're just reaching out to help. And that's why we're proactive and go to the courthouse in the first place, because we saw, the reason we do this, we saw families being underserved in the market, and right. We just figured we saw a better way to do this. So have you got a few minutes to talk about the real estate side of things and where everything stands?
Perfect answer. The point I wanted to make was when you get a common response like that, it's usually an excuse. It's not usually the real reason. The analogy I love to use is, you need to buy a new suit. You go in the men's department at the department store, and clerk walks up. What's the first thing people say? Can I help you? No, I'm just looking. Well, you're not there because you were hungry. You were there to buy something, but people have a defense mechanism against being sold. So that tends to be a gut reaction to that defense mechanism, and you disarm them by giving them permission not to buy something, and just coming from a point of, I'm here to help you, I'm not here to sell you anything. So that's perfect. Excellent. We have two more people in the queue, guys. Thank you for your participation. Let's go to phone number ending in 7000. You're up.
Well, I'm new to your program, Richard Stewart in Kalamazoo, so I haven't had a chance to receive my first list yet. I'm very comfortable on the phone. My experience with probate is I had a contract with a guardian agency that I've closed about 14 properties in the last year for, just through that one relationship. But how I got that account was their hotspot was the property management of these vacant homes. They were having a problem with trashing them out, cleaning, preparing them for winterizations. And so I focused on that, and the listings were just a given after I got that account.
Perfect. That's great, Richard. Thank you for sharing that. We always mention, we have our standard services we recommend, but in between those services, property management, auction companies, the more service you can offer them, the better chance that you're going to be able to help somebody with a particular niche need that nobody else can help them with. So that's awesome. Richard, you are a pro, and I know you've been doing this a long time. Are there any spots where you feel like you could use some help, or you just not? I guess you're just getting started, right, with our leads?
Well, I'm eagerly awaiting my first batch from you.
Okay, well, great. We'll call back next month, and please come on our Mastermind call tomorrow, if you will, and share that story with the group on the Mastermind call.
Sure, I'll try. Thank you.
All right, thank you for participating. Appreciate it. All right, we have one more person in the queue out West Coast. Phone number ending in 8831. You're up.
Hey, Jim, it's Colin here.
Hey, welcome, Colin.
How are you guys doing? Hey, Chad.
Wonderful.
So here's what this is where I'm getting stuck. And I do a role play with some Tom Ferry, elite coaching clients. And one of them has experience dealing with the touchiness of a recent death and how to broach a conversation about real estate when you really haven't won their rapport yet. And one thing she recommended was definitely start by saying my condolences, or start with, hi, this is Colin Jacobs with RE/MAX, or this is Colin Jacobs representing Trust and Estates here and the real estate capacity here in Los Angeles County. I just want to say, first of all, my condolences to your family, what you must be going through right now with John's estate, and we are here to support you 100%. Just wanted to make that clear, and at least get their feedback that they actually appreciate that you're calling them not just to sell them, but to kind of create an emotional, because residential real estate's emotional. Even if you are just a personal representative, there is an emotion there because it's tied to someone who passed away, whether it was 2 weeks ago or maybe 5 months ago or over a year. So I've discovered that that's a pretty effective way to connect. And I've also received, if I haven't done my homework and I'm just ripping through a list, and I realize that the person died in the 60s, they're like, well, and then there's no emotion, it's like, obviously, so studying the list, studying when the death was, where the probate date is, they might just be back in the probate because they're trying to retain some personal property, or there's something that didn't get transferred. So I found that to be a pretty effective way of doing my due diligence
Awesome.
in a short period of time.
Great contribution.
And then I'm finding,
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. And I'm just because I know we're short on time, but I just wanted to say that the strategies for finding vendors, I really would like your feedback on that, because I do have a full service group here that, as you know, we do soup to nuts, and this works perfectly because everything I do, I just have to sort of translate into the probate side, although there are certain aspects of it, like the personal estate sales and what could be appraised, what's worth something, what tier bracket does it fall into, and how to decipher that, because I find that the estate sale side of it is pretty essential to have those hooks. So I guess I was just kind of curious what your perspective was on those two topics that I just brought up.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chad, I'll let you comment. I was just going to make one comment. When I first started doing it, I used to say, I'm sorry for your loss. And I had a gentleman say, well, don't be. Dying was the best thing that SOB ever did. So I said, oh, okay. Well, gosh, I wasn't expecting that response. We kind of recommend don't say I'm sorry for the loss, because it tends to sound somewhat insincere. You didn't know them, and you really aren't sorry. Chad, what's your reaction to Colin's approach, the way he starts it off?
Well, personally, I don't agree with it based on my own experience and other people who have tried it and reported to me. But if it's working for you and you've tested it both ways, and go with what's working. I'll say that. If you feel most comfortable opening your conversation that way, you're going to have a smoother conversation opening it that way. So,
yeah, I've heard agents also open with. My point was, I don't think I would say I'm sorry for your loss. I like the way you did it better, Colin, than that. And we've also had agents open with, this is Colin. I'm understand this is probably a difficult time for your family. That's why I decided to specialize in probate, and I just wanted to reach out and let you know, all the services I can offer. So, I probably nothing wrong with sincerely acknowledging that it's a tough time. And, if it's working for you, I think that's great. And if it relieves the tension where you're more natural and you feel more comfortable communicating, I think that's awesome.
Oh, that's good. Yeah. So rather than saying my condolences, saying I understand this must be a difficult time, using that to lead in and then getting a response from them to at least hear them through, or just kind of quick go through the rest of, this is who I am, so they know why you're calling, rather than waiting for an emotional response.
Chad, why don't you role play that real quick with Colin? Do it. We will try to keep it in the role play if you don't mind. So
what I've learned and what we teach, Colin, is you want to try to establish who you are, how you got their information, what value you can provide, and then try to end on a question so you can get that kind of jumpstart the conversation by ending on an open-ended question.
Got it.
Excuse me. And Steve did a really good job at the beginning of this call, kind of showing us his. But so, ring, ring.
Hello?
Hi, I'm trying to reach Colin.
Yes, this is he.
Hey, Colin, my name's Chad Corbett, and I'm calling because we've got a team of professionals in the area that specialize in helping families who are in the probate process. And through our research at the courthouse, we noticed that you were the executor of an estate. And working with so many families, we realized how difficult that can be, and that's kind of why we do what we do. So we provide a pretty wide scope of service that help families handle the entire estate. And we're also licensed real estate professionals in the state of California. So is there any real estate in the estate that you guys could use some help with or you have questions about?
Okay, I'm just going to pause for a second, because the way you asked that question could go two ways depending on the personality type. I had one guy respond, "How dare you? My son just died last week and I don't want to receive calls, click." Or it's we haven't gotten to that yet. So, or we already have someone helping us. It's the ones who are charged that way. I just want to make sure that base is covered, because as soon as you get to the real estate part, it's like you've kind of nullified that lead because they're not ready to hear from you yet. Do you follow up with them later if they hang up on you?
Well, hit me I would. They would get another letter from me and another phone call. But if they hang up on me, then the role play's over. So if you want to hit me with the second one, we'll go from there.
Well, the second one is more like Steve's. We haven't gotten to that yet, or we have someone handling it. So either one of those is fine. I'm just saying this is what I've been hearing. The three are usually the typical response. So
go with the first one. We haven't got to it yet because we did the other.
We haven't gotten to it yet, Chad. We haven't gotten to it yet.
Okay, I understand. There's a lot of responsibilities been put on your plate, especially, and that's why we reach out early. I realize it's probably it hasn't been that long, and you guys are still dealing with this emotionally, and I understand that. Honestly, most of our clients are exactly where you are when we first speak, and what they find is that by sitting down with us and kind of looking at a professional suggestion of what we would recommend you doing, can kind of help you guys see the possibilities and make some decisions, because you don't know what you don't know, right? So it's just an opportunity to sit down with a professional who has a lot of experience dealing with what you're dealing with a lot of different families, and kind of see what our suggestions are. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I think it's more of an issue of timing right now, because we have a lot of letters on the table. We haven't been able to get through all of them yet. We know that there's some quality people in the mix, and that we have to interview them all before we can really talk about this.
I understand. And have you spoken to anybody else? Have you heard from anybody? Am I the first phone call, or you've just gotten?
No, we know some of these people personally, and they've talked to us, but we're just not in that position right now to really talk about it. But maybe in a few weeks we can go back to it.
Okay. Well, fair enough. Is it okay if I follow up with you maybe next week then and see if you guys are in a different place?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, great. So what I would do here, because you seem like you're in emotional distress to me and you're not wanting to engage in the conversation, I would let you go, and I would probably send you a handwritten letter and just explaining to you, why I called and thanking you for my call. I don't do that on every one of them, but most people don't hang up the way you did. And if I think somebody is in true emotional grieving, I'm not going to push on you. Like, I'm not leaning on somebody to meet with me if I think that they really are just having trouble coping with this. But I also know that there's 15 other people that may be willing to lean on you. So I need to give you something of value. And maybe I'll run a quick summary CMA and say, you know what, this is just a snapshot of what we can do. I just wanted to thank you for the call and thought maybe you guys would be interested in seeing this. Or I might send them just, maybe a second page with 2 or 3 testimonials saying, listen, I know you said you've got a stack of mail that you plan to go through. I thought you might find it, helpful to see what some of our past clients in this town have said about us, and just get some sort of a valuable follow-up, and then hopefully they call you back when they see that. But otherwise, I would call you next week because you did at least give me permission to do that.
Chad, a really interesting distinction, because I've heard that same role play before and you handled it differently. And one thing you just made me realize, it's not only what you say, it's how you say it. If he had said that from kind of a defensive perspective, then you would have pushed, because you would have just taken that as a defense mechanism and you would have pushed for the appointment. But when you perceived that he was really upset, that's the time you got to back down. So it's often not even as much of what somebody says, it's how they say it. So really important to just be listening, asking good questions and be listening.
Yeah,
awesome.
Great. Yeah, thanks. And one last thing is, when some of the numbers on the number 1 don't come up, I am only queuing the number 1 on my auto dialer. Number 2 or 3, should we be plugging those in if the number 1 goes to it's a wrong number or a block number or something like that?
Yeah, so they're in a cascading order. Number 1 being the most likely, number 5 being the least likely. So you can keep rolling down through them until you reach somebody.
Okay. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Colin. We're right at 30 minutes. Last call. If anybody else has anything else, hit *6. Otherwise, we'll let you all get back to work. And great participation. We had some real quality questions, some good role plays, and we have some people that are really tearing it up with this. So hopefully everybody on the call, learned something today. And please come back tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern, and it's more of an open forum tomorrow, less of a role play. Again, any place you're getting stuck, any questions you have. And I always like to end all of these calls by challenging you. You took, 30 minutes to be here today, and we appreciate it. You heard some great ideas, some great interaction and contribution. Take one thing you learned, go out and put it into practice, come back on the next call and share with the group. Thank you so much for being here today, guys. Make it a great day, and we'll talk to you in about 23 hours tomorrow, 1 o'clock Eastern time. Make it a great day, guys. Take care.